Miami Dolphins schedule, Miami fans, and why I think we got pretty screwed in some ways after the break.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.
Fury fam, Phin-Addicts from everywhere, welcome to another edition of Phin-Addict Fury with your host Larry K. We are going to break down the schedule today and discuss the pros, the cons. Here's one big thing I really don't like. That home field advantage, that 1 o'clock September game, we pretty much don't have it at all against any opponent we really care about. Now, we may not have to go up against Buffalo in the cold late in the year, which is certainly helpful. And I will say that as a fan, I think some of the times and the setups of the games are going to be a lot of fun for us just from a holiday standpoint, a viewing standpoint, etc. But I wasn't a huge fan of how some of these things shook out. It's not all doom and gloom here. Look, it's another football season. We're going to be excited about another football season, right? So, we have a lot of additions to the team, a lot of promise, a lot of questions about the team too. But, so we're going to be excited about the schedule. We're going to talk about the schedule, but there's some things about the schedule I don't love, some things that are okay. We're going to talk about it, Fins fans. And by the way, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel yet, but you're seeing my face for another time, please click subscribe. It's right here. We got to get to 2,000 subscribers. Shake is out here doing all this work, putting the shorts out, doing in the blender. We got to, I'm here talking to you guys. We got to get to 2,000 subscribers before the season. It's right here. Just click it. I'll wait a second. I'll wait while you click it. Thank you for clicking. I really appreciate it. Let's get to 2,000. If you're not a member, if you're not an official Fury fam member, join the family. To all of our members, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much. You keep this channel going. You allow us to keep it going in a lot of ways. Please join and become a member. You get access to behind the scenes video. You get access to a pilot episode of In the Blender with Shake, which he and I, when the way Shake, how far Shake's come now, and how far even I've come compared to that, you'll see that that pilot episode. You'll get to see tours around my neighborhood here while I talk to you about the Fins. And probably most of all, with certain tiers, you're going to get access to my written column, which hasn't been out in a little bit, but I do have written content up there. And during the season, it's going to be much more frequent, a written column from Larry K. And I'm not just fronting, right? I'm a writer. I write for a Rutgers publication. I write fiction. I wrote a novel. I write for the New Yorker. So it's legitimate sports writing about your Miami Dolphins. So consider becoming an official member. Click the join button to find out how. And subscribe. Anyway, let's get into this schedule now. No more of the talking about the channel. Let's get to the schedule. Week 1 is really the only home field advantage game I see that early. I mean, September 8th, Sunday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, hot Miami sun. Only thing is, we're playing Jacksonville, another Florida team. Now they're not a South Florida team. And the way the sun, goes down in that stadium, any team is going to be feeling the heat literally. So it's nice to open up the season against a pretty decent team who's had some success as of late. In Jacksonville, in-state rival, that's a 1 o'clock game. Like, bring it on, opening Sunday, opening week. Get me, with some wings at a bar. Get me in the living room, with a nice sub or sandwich. I mean, it's opening day. It's the start of the American holiday these days, which is that Sunday for Football Sunday. I'm excited about it. Solid game. Jaguars visit South Florida. Let's go. Week 2, we are actually playing in the Thursday night game. So we will open up Week 2 in the NFL against our rival Buffalo Bills. That's a 8:15 at night, Thursday night game on Prime Video. If you don't have Amazon Prime, here's the thing. And I'll get into this in another video. I'm going to do a whole thing. I'll probably write something about it too. The commercialization of the NFL, going overseas for so many games a year. scattering games to exclusive streaming rights for various platforms. The commercialization and the greed is getting insane. And I resent it. But if you don't already have Prime Video, you should really get it, because when you order something off Amazon, you get free shipping. It comes like the next day, and Prime Video has so many, features and so much content on it. It really is worth it. So that's a Prime Video game. The reason I don't like it is you want the Buffalo Bills to come to South Florida at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and have to deal with the hot sun. That's what you want. You want them there dealing with the sun and the heat. You get one chance to get Buffalo up, down to Miami, and you want it to be a treacherous game for them. And it's not going to happen. It's a night game. So it might be a little more muggy than they're used to, but it's muggy in New York around that time too. And they're coming down for a night game. They don't have to deal with the South Florida sun this year or in September. So that's a letdown in a way. It's a cool primetime game. It's a Thursday, but man, give me that game at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. Give me that showdown with the rest of the games on an old-fashioned Sunday in the Florida heat. I might even go down for it. I mean, I'm not going to do it now that it's a Thursday, but give me that game on a Sunday at 1 p.m. Cool game on Prime Video on a Thursday. All eyes on us. Man, give us a Sunday game. Week 3, we are at Seattle at 4:05. And it's interesting because, you know what? I guess we're traveling all the way to the West Coast on a Sunday. So we have a long week. The game's at 4:05, so it's their normal 1 o'clock. It's going to feel like 4 to us. Can't say I have a problem with it. I'd rather be flying to the West Coast after a long weekend than having a quick turnaround. So that's one thing I kind of like about the schedule. We get to fly out to the West Coast after an extra couple days of rest playing in the Thursday night game. So I don't have any beef with that part of the schedule. Normal CBS game. Week 4, we're back home. We have Tennessee. This is a Monday night game against Tennessee. And here's where it kind of goes both ways. On the one hand, I'm happy that after, they kind of helped us out with that West Coast trip, right? Because you've got a Thursday night game, and then you've got some rest to get out to the West Coast and adjust to the time and whatnot in Seattle. I would suggest to Mike McDaniel that we go a little bit about our business this time, as opposed to what we did. We went to Germany. I know everybody enjoyed themselves, but the Chiefs were about their business, and it showed at the end there. But I'm glad the guys enjoyed their experience in Germany. I mean, things are bigger than football, but let's not talk about last year. I like the fact that we have a Thursday night game, then we got time to go to the West Coast, and then upon returning from the West Coast, we don't have to play until Monday night. I do like that. What I don't like is now the whole month of September is over, and we only had one game in South Florida, only one game in Miami Gardens at Hard Rock at 1 o'clock in the hot sun. Only one game the whole month of September. That's not good for the Dolphins, because we're going to have to play in the cold in the end of the year, but not many teams had to come play in the heat the beginning of the year. I don't like that. But I do like that we have extra rest going to the West Coast. So week 4, Tennessee at home, Monday Night Football, ESPN. Week 5, we're at New England. Early October, we're at New England. So the good news is, and that's a regular 1 o'clock Sunday game. And I'll be happy to be back at 1 o'clock on Sunday, because most of the September, we're not going to be playing at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Finally back to 1 o'clock on Sunday on a nice fall, crisp October day. Perfect day for football in New England. Perfect day for us. Perfect day for everybody. I love it. It's going to be nice and crisp. Great day for football. But again, I wish we had New England down, at our stadium in early October. That being said, I'm glad we don't have to go to New England late in the year in the cold. So I'll take that. Just a fun-loving football day. One of the options. I'm looking around at options for games I can go to aside from just the Jets here in Jersey and the Dolphins when I visit South Florida. That could be one of them. But no real problems with that game week 5. Week 6, early bye. There's two ways to look at an early bye week 6, right? On the one hand, for fans, we get it out of the way because now the rest of the year you got football every week. Because it's always kind of... it's kind of nice sometimes when you have a bye week because you don't have to worry about anything, but you just get to watch other teams play and you don't have anything on the line. On the other hand, sometimes it's boring when you're in the heat of the playoff race and your team's not playing and everybody else is catching up with the game. It's not fun. The other thing is Miami has tended for some reason to not do as well coming off a bye week, like they lose their rhythm or something. So maybe having the bye week early in the year is going to help us get back into the groove by the end of the year. But again, I just don't like losing early in the year that potentially could have been in South Florida. I just don't like losing games like that to bye weeks or anything else. So do I like the bye? I don't know. Remember, too, we're also at our best early in the year, and we're usually doing well when we're fresh and we're running around. So now you're going to cut our momentum early in the year. That being said, maybe the early bye lets us recover a little bit from a grueling first month and get our ducks in a row. Maybe we get some guys back, like maybe a Phillips is full speed, maybe a Chubb is nearing return, maybe some of those dinged up guys are coming back for the rest of the season. So it could work either way. Let's see what happens. October 20th, Sunday, another 1 p.m. game. Welcome it. We're at the Colts, indoor game. Again, early in the year, and I mean, now we're getting to mid-season, and still not a lot of games at home. One game at home in the South Florida sun in the afternoon. So at Colts, indoor, another Sunday at 1. I'm going to enjoy it. They're coming few and far between early in the year. We're going to have a lot of fun hanging out with other people, just enjoying our Sundays watching other teams, guys. But we're going to have to wait till different odd times to watch Miami here. Week 8, we finally return to Hard Rock for a 1 p.m. game in South Florida, October 27th against the Cardinals. Decent game. It's going to be, Cardinals are from the desert, so I don't expect much of an advantage per se. Could be a little humid. You're pushing it in late October. It's still hot, but it's not as hot as it was. Glad that we're back at 1, though. Nice game to enjoy. Our schedule, by the way, I think is an interesting schedule, right? It doesn't, you never know. I hate when people say, oh, it's the toughest schedule or the easiest schedule. That's based on last year. And we all know that in the NFL, not much carries from year to year, right? At all. So, I don't know what the schedule, how hard it is or how easy it is just yet. But right now it looks moderate. It looks like we can handle it. And I'll do my predictions closer to the season. But it looks like we can handle it. It's not too hard, too easy. It's kind of there. It depends how some of these teams are. So 1 p.m. against the Cardinals, Week 8. That's October 27th on Fox. It's a Fox special. Following week, another 1 p.m. game. That's at the Bills on CBS. Again, another crisp football Sunday, most likely, November 3rd. Again, I have to say, at least we're not traveling to New England and Buffalo in December. At least we're not traveling in late November or December. That helps us. That's 2 division rivals, the 2 coldest places in the division, and we do not have to travel there late in the year. So as much as I'm mad about early in the year, and I think it's a huge issue, I'm glad we're playing the Bills in early November at 1 p.m. instead of in the freezing cold later in the year at night or something. So I'll take a Sunday at 1, good old-fashioned Bills game, at Buffalo, gather around the TV, 1 p.m., let's do it. Let's duke it out. So now, the following week, again, we get a reprieve. So the NFL, I guess, you got to think, right? The NFL schedule makers, they think like the rest of us do, right? They take various things into consideration. They got to have a board or a thought process that says this is the pros, this is the cons. And you got to wonder, did they say, well, look, we're going to give Miami the benefit of all this rest time with their West Coast trips. But since they're getting all the rest time with their West Coast trips, we're not going to give them the benefit of the 1 p.m. hot games in September, October. I wonder if that went into their head, because week 10, we go out to L.A., but it's a Monday night. So we get an extra day to travel out to L.A., and it's a Monday night game on ESPN at SoFi Stadium against the Rams. The following week, we are back home, and it's a 1 p.m. game against the Raiders. So that benefits us if you think about it, right? We have one less day to prepare for the Raiders. But the Raiders have to travel from the West Coast to Miami and play at 1 in the hot sun. So the Raiders, I mean, that's almost a cancel out because now we're traveling from the West Coast too. And we have one less day as opposed to the Raiders. At the same time, the Raiders have to play at 1, which is like their, 10 in the morning, and the sun's going to be hitting them. Now, they're from the desert. They gave us 1 o'clock games against teams from the desert. So, I don't know. Again, I'll take the 1 o'clock game and Oakland flying over, but they made Oakland fly over the same week we have to fly over with one less day of rest. And Oakland's a desert. I mean, Las Vegas. Sorry, see? Oakland. Las Vegas. Can't believe I just said Oakland a bunch of times. Sorry, guys. Las Vegas is in the desert. So, I don't know. Week 12, we are home at 1 p.m. against the Patriots. One of our few 1 p.m. games. It's November 24th, though. That's not really the, the hottest time of the year. Week 13, Thanksgiving Showdown. Thanksgiving Showdown. At the Packers. Lambeau Field on NBC. I'm excited just because it's Thanksgiving. It's cool to be, a premier team on Thanksgiving and the premier game at night. That's a fun game. Like, that's going to be fun. You got the whole weekend ahead of you. If we win, your weekend's great. You get to sit back and watch the games on Sunday. If we lose, it's going to hurt your Thanksgiving weekend a little bit. But, I'll take a Thanksgiving night game. The problem is we have the Patriots, and then we got a short week to get to the Packers, and we got to travel to the Packers. But then we have extra rest, right? We have extra rest, and then we get the Jets at home, week 14 at 1 p.m. They saved the Jets for last. I kind of like when they do that with some division rivalries, right? I kind of like the fact that we got our 2 other division foes out of the way, and now we got the Jets. And I'm not sleeping on the Bills because I think the Bills are still going to be a formidable team, and until they aren't the top team in the East, they are the top team in the East. However, I think the Jets had some pretty good draft picks. Aaron Rodgers is coming back. I think the Jets are a hungry organization. I think it's kind of a make or break year for a lot of the people in that organization. And so the Jets, I think, are going to be a formidable adversary this year. And so I kind of like how they stacked the Jets games towards the end of the year. You see them once, and then you're going to see them again, and it could be a lot on the line both times. So us and the Jets will be eyeing each other, from across the aisle, for months, watching each other's schedule, watching each other's moves. And if we turn out to be contenders towards the end of the year, those games are going to mean a lot. And being somebody who lives up here, that's going to be fun for somebody like me with those rivalries. So we got the Jets at 1 p.m. December 8th down at Hard Rock. Week 15, we're at the Texans on December 15th. That's a CBS 1 o'clock game. Texans, I mean, I'm on the lookout for them. We thought we had their number with those trades back in the day, but the Texans, with their quarterback situation, with what they're doing, I'm looking for the Texans to be a legitimate contender in the AFC this year. So, again, if you look at this schedule, coming down the stretch, again, the Dolphins have a tough end of the year stretch. And again, we're going to be asking our coach, our receivers, our quarterback, once again, to come through in the end and win games they need to win to position us for the postseason. Because after the Patriots week 12, you follow that with the Packers, and they were on the ascension last year. Jordan Love looking good. Then you got the Jets. Then you're at the Texans, who are a contender this year, by all accounts. Then you come home, and you got the 49ers, and this pisses me off because the 49ers, rather than having to play us at 1 o'clock, throwing their sleep schedule off, we have to play them at 4:25, which is the time they usually would play anyway back in California. That being said, Texas to Miami, not a crazy trip. They got to come from the West Coast. I still don't like it. I know it's a primetime game. I know they want to showcase the primetime game. I understand all of that, but I wish it was at 1. But again, you got Packers, Jets, at Texans, 49ers. Then you're at the Browns, who are no slouch anymore. You're at the Browns, Week 17, which is an 8:20 Sunday night game, which is going to be cold. Going to be cold in Cleveland. And then you finish the year at the Jets, to be determined, because they're wondering if that's going to be a huge game for all the marbles. But once again, in the freezing cold weather. So my thoughts overall on this schedule. I think it's fun for the fans, like I said. I think there's a lot, if you're into, marquee games, primetime games, and let me rephrase that, maybe not for all the fans. If you're into that, if you want to see your team without having to get Sunday ticket, and you want to watch your team in primetime on the featured games, and, things like that, then I think the Dolphins are a fun team this year. I think the NFL has gone out of its way to highlight the Dolphins for the commercial audience. I think that that's evident and obvious here. But as a hardcore, old school, early 1990s on the old rabbit ear TV, or one of the really old cable boxes, watching the hot sun pour down, and Warren Moon go up against Dan Marino at 1 p.m. on a Sunday, and somebody who understands the advantages of the Dolphins and the struggles they have late in the year versus the success they have early in the year, I don't really like this schedule much at all. Because we bear two reasons. One, we pretty much have almost no, aside from two, really only one early in the season, 1 p.m. games at Hard Rock. That hurts us. Our best weather advantage is 1 p.m. in September and October when it's hot. And we really don't have much of that. Now, granted, that's kind of offset in some ways by the fact that we don't have to travel to Buffalo or New England. And by the fact that some of our West Coast trips, we have some extra time. However, the second reason, which leads me to believe I really don't love this schedule overall, is the end of the year, once again, is a gauntlet of contenders. And it finishes the last 2 weeks with cold weather games against cold weather teams. At the Browns at night, at the Jets could be at night. I mean, you finish that season at Packers, Jets, at Texans, 49ers, at Browns, Jets. That's not what we want to see. Now, no excuses. And I'm sick of the excuses in Miami all around. Win the games at the beginning of the year, regardless of whether you have the 1 p.m. advantage. Win the games at the end of the year, regardless of how cold it is or what goes on. Period. But even with that qualifier, even acknowledging that, you gotta acknowledge that the schedule is not in our favor in those ways. So we caught some breaks, but I think overall, I don't think it's the best schedule in terms of wins, scheduling-wise. I didn't go into the teams and the matchups, so we'll go into that at another date, and I'll do a whole video on it. But from a pure scheduling standpoint, I can't say I love the way it shook out. There's some things they did for us, and I appreciate it. There's going to be some fun games for us on prime time, but overall, it's going to be tough the way the schedule shakes out. So we will see what happens. Guys, if you have not done so, please click the subscribe button. It's right here. Click it. Takes like a fraction of a second to click it. Just click it. Click it if you like Dolphins content. Click it if you like objectivity. Click it if you're a working person who busts their ass every day and still wants some sports content at the end of the day, because that's what I do. I'm wearing a million hats. I'm out there working, but I still come on time for the schedule and provide you guys content. And the reason I'm able to provide you guys content on time, on cue for the schedule, is because of the support you give me. Please click subscribe. Please join, become an official Fury Fam member. Join the team officially. One member does so much to support the channel and so much to create more content and get us to create more content. It's not even funny. So subscribe, join, Fins Up, Larry K, out.